with liberty and justice for all. Can you please remain standing for a moment of silence for those who are overseas defending our freedom, and here at home, and those who have lost their lives in doing so. Thank you. I'd also like you to please remember a very special person to us, a longtime trustee and friend to the village, Jack Rosenberg, lost his wife, Ruth, this month. I ask that you please all keep her and Jack in your thoughts. Thank you so much.
You're on.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I do. I'm prepared.
Oh, God, no, I'm not
This is
around.
yours, honey. You left it on my desk. Oh,
Thank you.
you're welcome. I do have my agenda. I swear I do. It could have been worse. It could have been my Cherry and Evelyn file. Oh, that's true. Okay, I have one. Thank you.
But by the way, they paid me.
Oh, good. I'd like to set the dates for the April meeting. The workshop will be Wednesday, April 2nd, 2014 at 7 p.m. And the village board meeting will be Monday, April 7th at 7:30 p.m. First up is the fire department. Mike Stark, are you here?
No,
Oh, they had a fire call, right? Correct. Okay, so we will, I guess, we could do his three items, correct? Because I don't know if he'll be back. They had a mutual aid call to Montebello, so I don't know that the fire chief will be back here. So I will ask that the board to accept the preliminary LoSAP report you all have in your folders for 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion is carried. He is asking to award the bid for the 2014 walk-around rescue truck.
So moved.
Well, you need who and how much?
Do you have all that?
I don't, I thought you were saying.
He would have, except I think I do. Yes, I have it. Here we go. We have... Service award. Nope, not service award. Virginia, do you have the, Thank you. That's it, isn't it? No, we have the fire truck as well. The resolution for the fire truck. No, it's not. Okay, we're gonna probably have to come back to it when Mike gets here. I have it in my office, but I don't have it in this folder.
I should have it here, Mayor.
Okay, all right, we'll come back to that. Let's go on with the Culture and Recreation update. You got it? It's the resolution.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Village Board. So a few events that we have coming up for Culture and Recreation. We have the Farmers Market, 2 more Saturdays in March 15th and March 29th at the Community Center. I want to mention that on Thursday, March 13th, there will be a public meeting from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. That will be March 13th here in the auditorium at 7 p.m. We will hang up on the front board, and we will put on the website information that was sent to us concerning the meeting. On Thursday, which is tomorrow, March 6th, there'll be our Recreation Board meeting. Again, if anyone would like to attend, please feel free. We're upstairs in the community room. This Friday, March 7th, we'll have a family movie night, which will be Freebirds. It's a cartoon, so if anyone would like to come out, it's free admission and free popcorn and refreshments. We have the last Dare Dance of the year will be Friday, March 14th at the Community Center. That's from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Suffern Little League is coming up. They're asking for the parade and opening day on Saturday, April 5th. I think that's later on in the agenda. It's going to be starting here at 9:30 at Village Hall for the parade down Main Street. And then on Saturday, April 26th, It's a couple of weeks away, but I wanted to mention it already. We are going to have Keep Rockland Beautiful, and the date for Suffern we've chosen is April 26th, and it will be 9 to 12 in the community center. We have a lot of different groups involved that day. The farmers market will be there, the recycling committee, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and other groups like Rotary are all doing projects. So if there's any project that you would like the day to pick up, we can look into different projects. Also, on March 27th, it's a little bit behind on the agenda here, we have a senior movie day for any seniors that would like to come over to the community center. It's going to be Las Vegas on March 27th at 12:30. So we welcome anyone to that. All seniors, free admission, free popcorn, and refreshments. And then also we have a upcoming Broadway show. It will be Saturday, April 5th. And I have flyers up here for anyone that would like them. It's Newsies on Broadway, and tickets are $95 and includes bus transportation from here from Village Hall. So if anyone is interested, the flyer is up here, and you can call Recreation for more information. And also, I just have a request from the Chamber of Commerce. They're looking at June 1st for a street fair. They currently have 2 street fairs that they have put into the schedule. They're asking for a June 1st date of the 3rd street fair.
Have a motion on the street fair?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
And that's it.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you very much.
Okay, getting back to the fire department. Fire department is requesting the Suffern Village Board to award the bid for 2014 walk-around rescue fire truck in the amount of $498. I wish that was $498. $498,694 proposed by Hendrickson Fire Rescue Equipment, solely representing Spartan ERV.
Mayor, I think the chief just arrived.
Oh. We did your LoSAP, we're just on your fire trucks. We heard.
It's not yet. Their house is bad.
Sorry about that. Which one did you do?
We're doing
LoSAP?
the truck.
Okay. Item C, award the bid for the 2014 walk-around rescue truck for
$98,694.
That's it.
Chief, could you just give us a little background on the, take a deep breath, give us a little background on our present truck and the condition of it and the recommendations from our village mechanic on the truck?
Yes, the current rescue truck is a 1989. It's, which makes it going on 25 years old, give or take. It's got quite a few mechanical issues that we've been trying to maintain it to the best of our ability with the help of the village mechanic and the outside vendors that we use to repair the fire trucks. Some of the items really can't be repaired. It's got quite a bit of frame rust and some rot on it. It's got some electrical issues. It's got some body cracks. So we've just been trying to deal with it the best we can. I mean, it is 25 years old.
Okay, and it's my understanding that it will take, once we order the truck, it will still take 365 days for it to actually be delivered to us, be ready for delivery.
Give or take, yes. Until we actually go to contract, it may be closer to 330 days, but
Correct.
give or take a year.
Okay.
And it depends on the, how busy the factory is at the time when we go to contract, if and when we go to contract.
Okay. All right, thank you. Tom, could I ask you to come up just to explain the financing on the truck as well, so that the board and our audience all have a clear idea of the financing and how it's affecting our budget for not this coming year, but the following year?
Okay. What we've decided to do is use municipal leasing, which is a little less costly than going out for a band bid, which would have to be renewed every year for a 5-year period. We would save on some bond counsel fees and be at the mercy of the banks with the interest rate changing all the time. So what we plan on doing is getting a municipal finance lease, and we would do it over a 10-year period. The lease would not take effect, obviously, until we take possession of the vehicle. So at this time, I wouldn't be able to get us a rate, because obviously no one's going to tell us what the rate will be 11 months from now. But as it gets closer to us receiving the vehicle, probably within like 2 to 3 weeks before we're going to get the vehicle, I will be going out to the different financing companies to give us a quote on the interest rate. And it should be very similar to the rate of our band borrowings, which are approximately 2.25% right now. So we will not make a payment on this vehicle until basically 1 year after we purchase it. So there will be no expense for this vehicle in the upcoming year, obviously. And it'll be 12 months after we get the vehicle before we make our first payment.
Thank you, Tom.
Any questions?
One other thing people should know is that we're not just, when we say we're leasing it, we're going to actually own this after the lease is...
Yes, they call it a lease, but at it's actually the Village of Suffern's vehicle. We'll be financing it. We'll be paying insurance on it, just like anything else. And after we complete our payments, the vehicle is ours free and clear.
Right, that's what they call it. It's confusing, they call it lease, but
It's
yes.
actually a purchase installment contract.
Yeah.
Right.
If there's no questions?
People should know that.
Any other board members have any questions?
Yeah, I do. I would like to table this award for now, based on, I would like prices on refurbishing the vehicle, whatever they are, because I can't decide between $500,000 and whatever else it'll cost. Whatever is wrong with the truck, has it been addressed prior to 2013? Has it been done in writing? Is there a truck committee? Is there a committee that went out for 3 bids for new trucks?
You'd have to ask the chief for that, or the mechanic.
Go ahead, Chief.
Do you have mutual aid? Can another vehicle...
I'm sorry, Frank, I didn't know the questions were directed at me. Can you repeat them, please?
Well, Tom, starting from the beginning, if you refurbish the truck you have, how much life would you still get out of that truck? If it's feasible, and I need a price, I need to know.
Okay, it depends on what...
I can answer the referral question.
Come up to the microphone, Joe.
Just let me say one thing first, Joey.
Joe is our mechanic and works on all of the fire trucks and does all the maintenance on the fire trucks for us, so he probably could give us some insight on maintenance of the truck.
Frank, just a couple points before I hand it over to Joe. It depends on what level of refurb you want to go to. The only reason that we didn't look into a refurb is, well, we've had a lot of bad history with refurbs in the fire department over the years. But the frame rot, the deterioration on the frame is the main thing. So if we had a good frame that we could work off of, then a refurb might be in order, but I'm going to turn it over to Joe. He can explain some more.
Like Mike says, the frame, with the pictures I showed you two gentlemen that I have taken prior to meetings before you guys, the frame is separating, the welds are breaking, so once we lift that body, that's $120,000 to separate that, just to learn that we can't go no farther, okay? We went through 2 different people, 2 different fire rehab places to get a guesstimation from an 89, and their recommendations were, leave it alone, get a new one. Because we have, as I showed you, the body's leaning to the right side of the vehicle and it's ripping the left side apart mid-body. So my frame brackets that I put bolts in to try to prevent it and make this truck live longer, it's at its last leg. And once we separate that, not only electrical, but all the hydraulic, and then you're looking at the steering and suspension on top of it. So this could be probably over $880,000 to rehab it. Because once you get the aluminum away from the steel, you still got to rehab the aluminum body and remount it to that. So we had cost factors there that were astronomical, and then just to cover myself, we brought in an outside contractor to do the same thing I did, and he's got just about the same pictures, and his quote just on frame was over $120,000 to start there. And then whatever we opened up, or they opened up, it was just too astronomical, and this was the cheapest way out once we got involved that deep.
Okay, can you provide the board with copies of all that research and those costs before I make a decision?
Yeah, we still have that, right? Yes, between the active captain and the retired captain of the hook and ladder, we should be able to get that for you.
And the extrication equipment, as long as we're at it?
I still have all the pictures in my camera and on my computer, and then the contractor, FJH Truck Repair, probably has the same.
Right, because I'm concerned with the price. It is $500,000.
Oh, I understand.
And we're in kind of a crisis now, and I'm aware of public safety and fiscal responsibility, so you proved to me it's more than $500,000, and I can vote.
I can do that.
Not tonight.
Okay. Then he has to make a motion to table.
Did you make a motion to table this?
Yes.
Second.
On the motion,
Yes.
we've clearly been told by our fire chief, who's been with the fire department a number of decades, and by our mechanic. And it seems that, the veracity is being challenged here. We want it in writing because we don't believe what they're saying. I mean, you've had an opportunity, because this has been discussed for a long, long time. So you certainly have had an opportunity to ask these questions and not just bring it up at a meeting. If you had told them Friday or Thursday to come with the documents, the document would be on your desk. So I'm going to oppose the motion. Yeah, and you can take the vote, Mayor.
I'm sorry.
May I be heard?
Hold on.
Certainly.
Frank is on the question first, and then...
Thank you.
John, I just got on this board 2 months ago. I have not been here for whatever amount of time you have, and I've just had a chance to research this stuff now. And I don't feel right voting tonight.
Okay.
I'm trying to express my opinion.
Okay.
I haven't had all that time. And I haven't been here for the other problems with the fire department truck. Thank you.
Mr. Byrne?
First, I want to thank you for your time yesterday. It was very helpful to see the truck, to meet with you, to talk to Mr. Hunt as well, and go over all the attempts to keep this truck together that have been made over the last, I guess, few years, frankly.
Quite a few years, yes.
And in kind of addressing Mr. Hagen's concern, we have a balance here, obviously, between not just public safety, but firefighter safety, and the fiscal issue here as well. My only concern is that the avenue of potential refurbishing of the vehicle may not have been, no one's questioning anyone's veracity here. No one's calling anyone that they're not telling us the truth. Please don't even infer that, because we would never do that. I don't know that it's been explored, and when we had a conversation yesterday, I think you even just said when you came here a minute ago, was that really didn't look at the refurbishing route, and because you had reasons for that, I understand that. But I think it's our obligation as members of the board to look at all avenues, and that should be one that maybe we can do a cost-benefit analysis. If it costs $250,000 to refurbish this truck, that makes, I think, our decision very easy, which is, why would you put that kind of money into a vehicle that you're going to need to replace in the next, even if you buy a couple years out of it or a few years out of it? That makes the decision easy. But without that information, some hard numbers, it's kind of hard to make an evaluation. I think that's all that's being raised here. Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to, and Matt and Frank, you have not been on the board, but The board, some years ago, and I don't know the exact date, had committed themselves to a replacement plan for our fire trucks for the fire department. And the reason that we did that was, A, because our fire department has gotten much longer life out of our fire trucks than any other fire department I know. They're very meticulous about the maintenance on their trucks. They're very meticulous about the safety of their trucks. And we have a mechanic who is extremely educated in the maintenance and mechanics of the truck. So we keep very much in contact, and Joe is our liaison for the fire department to assure that the trucks that we have not only are safe for our firemen, but that when they try to jump into those trucks to come to your house when your house is on fire, that they'll be able to get there to also provide you the service that you need at your home. So I have actually taken the opportunity to sit with Mr. Hunt, to sit with Mike Stark. I asked for meetings with both of them regarding the fire truck, and we have gone over all the avenues of possibilities to be fiscally responsible to this village and also to the safety of this village. I think that they have dealt with enough replacement fire trucks, both of them with their many years of service to the fire department, to know when a truck is at its end. So for that reason, I do not support tabling this this evening. I think that time is of the essence. I don't believe that this truck has much life left into it, especially you're talking about a rotted frame. If you had a broken or rotted frame on your car, the insurance company would declare it over and done with. So I just don't feel comfortable putting our volunteers, let us remember volunteers, into unsafe vehicles, that we are responsible for.
Mayor, I think we're looking a year out for the purchase of the vehicle to begin with. No one wants to put anyone in danger. That's not on anyone's agenda, obviously. We're all concerned about the safety of firefighters. We're talking a vehicle that won't be purchased for another year. I think tabling the motion till the next meeting is not unreasonable.
Okay, Mr. Byrne, the problem is we could lose the bid for the fire truck.
No, we will lose the bid.
Yeah.
And who has told us that we would lose the bid?
Who told you that?
When the bids come in, you have a certain amount of time that you can accept the bid by, and we will exceed that if we table this to the next meeting.
What's the date on the acceptance?
Do you have the date?
I don't have the contract in front of me.
Okay.
We may be approaching, if not past that date already, to be honest.
We have special meetings for a lot of other purposes. I would be more than willing to make myself available in the next week, frankly, to have a special meeting to vote on this. So I'd have no problem with that whatsoever.
Okay. So, did anybody else have any other comments? Nothing? Okay, so I have a motion to table and I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion is not carried. Do I have another motion on the floor?
Yes, a motion to approve.
Second.
Say what it is, though.
Motion,
To approve the bid for the 2014 walk-around rescue truck.
For in the amount of $498,694 to Spartan EV.
What you said?
You guys are going for a vote, I have a question.
No.
Maybe a few people have questions.
We've been going over this for months.
yeah, we've had several meetings with regards to this fire truck where the public has actually spoken in the past. So I'm sorry that you didn't attend that meeting.
Is there a reason why this meeting is different from those other meetings?
It's on the agenda for our vote because we've heard all public comment on it already, so now it's up for a vote.
Trustees that are saying, let's table even if it's just for a week.
This isn't
Okay,
You have at least one person in the public that wants to ask a question.
okay,
I don't think you should vote until at least that's responded.
okay.
Anyone else agree with that, or am I just...
This is not.
Okay, I can't have you taking over the meeting. Unfortunately, at this point in time, we have a motion on the floor. We've had public comments on this. It's not that I'm saying you couldn't speak on it, I'm just saying that there was a time and a place for that. I'm sorry that you weren't available at that time, but I can't make exceptions for you and not the whole entire room. So, anyway. Okay, so,
Second.
okay, Mr. Hagen,
No.
Mrs. Corrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Byrne,
No.
Mr. Meehan,
Yes.
and I vote yes, motion is carried.
Thank you, Board. The next item on the agenda is item D, the award for the extrication rescue equipment, which I apologize, I left my folder in the car, I do not have the price of it.
$58,390.
Garrison Fire.
Garrison Fire and Rescue Corp., solely representing Palmetro.
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 Correct.
And can you also explain about the extrication equipment as you did so?
Yes, the current extrication equipment that the village owns and the fire department employs does not meet the standard for cutting today's modern metals. So when we purchase the truck, we want to build it into the new truck so it fits as one unit.
Thank you.
And my understanding, you told us before that the extrication equipment we have now will not...
Will not cut the current metals.
Will not cut model years 12, 13, and on.
Correct, the newer model cars, yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
No.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you for your support, Board.
Thank you. I just want to also let you know that at the last meeting, we specifically did not vote on the bid to accept the bids because it came before the public participation, and public participation was the time that people were able to give comments on it and did, so we held it over. We actually were supposed to accept the bid at the last meeting, but I chose to take that off the agenda so that people would have a chance to speak on it, and Mr. Fire Chief Stark also gave a presentation on both of the items that we voted on tonight. So there was ample time to collect information from last month to this month with any questions or concerns, which I did, and I'm sorry that, there wasn't time to speak tonight. Okay, we have a public hearing for the licensing of snowplow operators in the village of Suffern. Terry?
Sure. Thank you. As everybody knows, we've had a few snowstorms in the past few weeks, brought to light some of the issues that occur when people have their driveways plowed and so forth. We already have in existence a provision that prohibits people from depositing snow and ice and so forth in the street or right-of-way, so we had that covered. People that were contractors in particular that were plowing it into the road were already violating the village code, so we didn't need to deal with that, but it was suggested by the superintendent of public works and the mayor that we provide for the licensing of the snowplow operators so that if people do offend that provision in the law, they can have their privilege, their license to plow in the village revoked. So we're setting up this procedure that requires licensing and the suspension or revocation of the licenses. Hopefully the board will adopt this tonight, but the intention is that this is preparing for the following winter when, hopefully having passed this, we won't have any snow.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
A little bit of snow is okay.
Would anybody like to speak?
Makes our grass green.
Come right up to the microphone and give us your name and address, please.
Alfred D'Ambrosio, 4
Can you
Cross
just pull
Street.
that down? I can't hear you, Al. Just pull it closer to you.
We're trying to record you.
Thank you. Great, thank
Alfred
you.
D'Ambrosio, 4
Thank you.
Cross Street, Suffern, New York. I only, because of this, discussing the snowplows, et cetera, the benefits, et cetera, I noticed something that happens yearly, and someone like me, and there are many like me, limitedly do something about it, and this is what we're discussing. We don't like being plowed in, snow plowed in, on a regular basis. It's not always happening, but it does. And so someone like me would get in the way there and have my shovel there ready saying, you want to plow me into as a person and make it so that I have to redig myself back out? I think there should be some rule of thumb that these people who have these vehicles know that when they're going by a certain area,
they either move a little farther out, or if they must go through, then they come back and they clean that little out, instead of leaving maybe 5-6 inches, which turns to ice, and then we have to go through the work. Now, I'm a pleasant young 73, and I'll do it. But if I catch them doing it, I'm going to give them a little bit of my lip. And that's putting it gently. So I would like that to be addressed, that these people under contract and/or et cetera, don't run roughshod on us citizens. Thank you.
Are you talking about, excuse me, I just wanted to clarify, you're talking about private contractors or the village plowers?
I'm talking about all of them.
Okay, so, I mean, I've gotten a lot of calls on this, and, you know, the hard facts of it is the safety of the roads and being able to get our emergency services vehicles through these roads are our primary concern. I wish I could find a machine that could, like, jump over each driveway. I really do. I wish that could happen.
I answered that partially. I said they could go a little farther out, and they could come right back in.
Well, that would take an absorbent amount of time. If you look at our trucks and how large they are, we couldn't zigzag around everybody's driveway.
Well, I'll answer you this way again.
I mean,
depending on the different type of trucks, I can agree, a huge truck, it might be harder, but I covered both. And in addition to that, I also said that if you can change and license people this, that, and that, and have your stipulations as to what they can and cannot do, I'm quite sure you could work upon that and have a happy resolvement rather than bypassing it.
Right. Like I said, you know, the fact of the matter is that you can't skip each driveway or leave snow onto the roadway, you know, in front of each driveway. It can't happen. But we do try as best we can. You know, it does happen. Obviously, we've had significant amounts of snow this year, but the same thing that will happen in front of your driveway will happen on the roadway.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
We cannot make it a safety concern for our emergency services vehicles and our residents who need to get back and forth to work to leave that amount onto the side of the road so that it becomes an ice condition, and then we're out trying to battle an ice condition. You know, there's just way too many roads in the village to, like I said, even try and do that, because by the time that they got to your street, it would probably be the next day if they had to be aware of every single driveway in the village, because they couldn't do it just for you and your neighborhood and not for him and his neighborhood. It would have to be throughout the entire village. So, I mean, we've talked about a lot of different ways to try to combat that. The unfortunate part is it works out for some who haven't done their driveways yet, and for others, it plows them back in after they have done them. So it's a very hard thing. Every place in Rockland County has battled the same problem. It's not something that we want to impose upon our residents, but it's just a real, true life issue,
Mayor.
Unfortunately. Sure, Jack?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. The fact of the matter is, this is the way it's done, and the best thing to do if you don't like it, and I don't like it, and I'm out there shoveling, and they don't, you know, I get the same treatment as everybody else, and I have a two-lane driveway, and we're out there shoveling it out, and it's just the nature of how plowing works. And the only thing I could suggest is two things. One is possibly go down to the garage and talk to some of these guys who plow the streets, and they'll tell you why it has to be that way. It's a possible problem of momentum too. The momentum of the plow is what keeps the thing going. And the other thing is, they're selling condos in Florida for $50,000, okay? So that's alternative too. I mean, we don't want you to leave. I think, you know, you've been in Suffern a long time, but you know, you look at these mornings and you think, condo in Florida, not a bad idea.
Well, I'm going to end my remark in this manner. I notice when I've been there and they go out a fraction and they go in, there's no problem. They don't seem to have a problem taking care of what they have taken care of, the majority of it. Okay. But if it's not resolved, it's not resolved. I can still continue doing what I'm doing. I'm not leaving. Yeah. But I'm just saying I'm not pleased, because I think what I do really shouldn't have to be done, that they do go around and there's no problem. because it's only like this, a little lip. It's not a arduous chore for them.
It's not
and they're
that
not
easy.
losing time.
It's not that easy. Trust me, we've talked about it. It's not that easy. But I appreciate it, and trust me, we're all frustrated with it. We're all digging out.
Look at the women that have to do it.
I know.
Look out now.
We used to have a snow shovelers list of young people.
It's a long
who,
time ago. That's a long time ago.
Remember that? I think that was during your time, Jim, wasn't it?
Before me.
Yeah,
I
we
think
had
it ended during me.
We had a snow shovelers
You
list
can't
of
pay
young
these kids enough to shovel snow today.
I
They have
know.
too much money.
That's true. You're right, you're right.
I was never going to bring this up, but I've been here 40 years. And as most of you know, who know me, there is a lake across the street from my street. There is no reason on God's green earth why they can't turn the plow and push it towards the lake instead of blocking every driveway on Memorial Drive. Now, some of the guys do it, maybe because they know me, the new guys. I mean, this high when you got a lake across the street, that's impossible. I give you that. You can't raise the plow for every driveway. The guys would be out there for weeks. But when you have nothing but barren land on one side of the street, shove it that way.
Jim, I don't think we want to put any more water in the lake. We're trying to get water out of the lake.
Well, there's an awful lot of snow piled up by the lake.
I know, let's not put any more.
It has nothing to do with the local law.
Hi, Jean Hennelly, 135 Wayne Avenue. What will the licensing fee be for?
It's nominal, I believe, right?
Yeah, we haven't set it yet. We have to
Nominal.
set it in the standard fee schedule. That'll be done subsequently, but the intention is that it be relatively small. It's not
Will
a
that be-
money-making, it's
will
not a
there be a-
money-making thing.
Will there be a public hearing on that as well?
Yes.
And what's the reason why it's not done together in one public hearing?
Sorry?
What's the reasoning for not being able to do it in one meeting, in one public hearing?
Because we did the local law, this is to get ahead of next year, and sometime in the interim, we'll set the fee.
Okay, so it will be a public hearing. All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the thing is, the reason for the fee is, you know, you have the license, and once you have the license, you realize that, you know, it provides you, because I was involved in county, when I was a county legislator, in home improvement license, and what it does, you know, we have a guy from New Jersey, he signs and he becomes subject to the court in Suffern, you know, if we have to sue him or something like that, and not having a license means he can't plow in Suffern, so, and he's subject to our court, so this is not to make revenue, but just to put them on notice.
And Terry, any fine for noncompliance would be?
It just goes under the catch-all of $250. There's not a separate one for this particular provision.
Anyone else? Okay. Motion to close.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
What's the motion for?
To
Licensing.
adopt the law, we close the hearing.
Licensing of snowplow operators in the village of Suffern. I have a first and a second. Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried. Okay, call grant writer, Fred Vella.
Good evening, Board. Everyone's heard me talk about the past couple months about the Village of Suffern becoming a Tree City USA and how we had preliminary approval. Actually, last week, we received notification from the state that we are in fact now officially a Tree City USA, and there's going to be a ceremony March 27th up in Albany along with a training session about all the benefits of and programs we can take advantage of for being such a Tree City USA. So I'm going to be talking to Bruce Simon, who's chair of the tree committee.
Congratulations, Bruce. Thank you for all your work.
And maybe we'll take a ride up to Albany together. I'm not too sure.
That would be great.
Road trip. This past week, the mayor signed off on the final paperwork for 2 grants. You got to go through the contracts, which have to be signed, and then the contracts get approved, get sent back to us, and I put in the paperwork for the actual payment. And so the mayor signed off on that for both the DARE program, which was the $3,000 for the PA system at the street hockey rink, and also the $2,000 for the Clifford Theater for the plays that they run during the summer program. The Rockland County Solid Waste Authority came to both the Village of Suffern and the Village of Nyack asking us to participate in a recycling program whereby it was being sponsored by Coca-Cola and the Beautification America effort. And with this program, you fill out the grant application, and then you are given actually recycled bins for both paper products and then plastic and cans. They don't say Coca-Cola on them. They can if you want to, but they'll say, to beautify America. And they would be located within our downtown districts and then also within our recreation facility areas, such as the street hockey rink, the memorial pool, and alike. We'll know in the middle of April whether or not we've been actually awarded this grant opportunity, but it was filed both with Suffern. One grant application was Suffern, the Village of Nyack, and the Rockland County Solid Waste Authority. Lastly, in 2002, the Village of Suffern was awarded $15,450 for a grant for Memorial Park, which is located next to the Suffern Pool. And that was for the rejuvenation of the playground equipment, redoing the parking lot, and also putting in the floating dock, which is no longer there.
It floated.
It floated away with, I believe it was Hurricane Sandy.
Irene.
The actual cost of the program was $89,000, and once again, the grant that we actually received from the state was for $15,450. We still have approximately $2,000 which we can collect, which I just became aware of. So I'll be putting in that paperwork next week and having the mayor sign off on it so that we can get those monies as well. Okay.
Thanks, Fred.
Fred,
Great work.
Any grants out there for fire trucks or fire equipment?
I'll look for happen.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Fred. Village Attorney.
Thank you. We've been working for many years on trying to fashion a hospital zone for Good Samaritan Hospital. It's presently in a residential zone, and every time the hospital has tried to do anything, it required variances and all types of waivers. So for a long time, we've been trying to get them to cooperate to assist in, as I say, creating a specific hospital zone. The new administration there has been working very closely with the village for, I would say at this point, maybe 2 years. Their planner and our planner had been working together, looking at potential future build-outs for the hospital property and how we can incorporate the hospital's hypothetical uses with the protection of the residential neighborhoods in the area. So that process pretty much has come to an end from the planning perspective. We have a draft local law that we'll be finishing up in the next week, which will deal with creating a hospital zone. And again, one of the main ideas is to keep the development away from the residential areas in the back, to provide for a buffer, to limit the height of the buildings towards the rear of the property, and to have more of the development towards the front of the property. So in order to move forward with this, what I would suggest is the two things that we have as A and B on the agenda. First, as is required by our zoning law, to refer the proposed amendment to the Village of Suffern Planning Board and to the Rockland County Department of Planning. And then secondly, to set a public hearing for the April meeting. At that time, our planner will make a presentation just to explain exactly the implications and the implementation of the local law, and the hospital's representatives, of course, will be here as well. Hopefully, the board will be in a position to make a determination at that meeting. If there's questions and other things that have to be developed, of course, that won't occur. We'll also need the recommendation from the Rockland County Department of Planning, which may or may not be here by that meeting because they have 30 days within which to reply. So if you want to proceed, first would be a motion to refer the proposal and proposed local law to the Suffern Planning Board and the Rockland County Department of Planning for their review and recommendation.
Mayor, there might have been someone here who wanted to, I know this is not a public hearing related to this today, obviously.
Right,
and
we're
there
just
will be one
referring it
next
to the
month.
planning board for recommendations. We're not voting on it, we're not taking any action whatsoever on it. Referring it to the Suffern Planning Board and County Planning will give the public and us more recommendations and their view on the proposed project. So it kind of gives us more information to use, and then the public hearing, we can all talk about it with all the information that we receive, you know, on the proposal.
Yeah, I just know that some who saw it on the agenda, I think, came to...
And they will have an opportunity to speak at the public hearing. Once I mean, we don't have any information really, Matt.
Right, no, I understand.
We're still
No,
collecting.
and also it was a complaint about some maintenance site plan issues, and the code enforcement officer and Rob McGreena, who does the prosecutions, have been made aware of the issue. It's the first any of us have heard of it.
But
So
during audience participation, they're welcome to come up to, if they have anything, you know, that needs attention immediately. But you know, the public hearing would be the place, because that's when we'll have all our information.
Mayor?
Yes.
I would, you know, I had discussed this complaint that the neighbors have, and that's disconcerting. They lost a couple of trees, and those trees haven't been replaced, and they were lost a long time ago. And I don't want to slow up the process, but I would tell you, I won't vote on that zone until
We're not voting.
Yeah, well, no, I'm talking about next month.
Oh, yeah.
Next month.
Oh,
If
yeah,
this
and that-
isn't resolved,
Right.
I just won't vote.
Right, and that's
And I think
something
that's
I agree with you, Jack.
Yeah, and
You know,
I think we all agree on that one, right?
Yeah, we're gonna,
So,
yeah.
let's get that message to them.
Right, absolutely, and we've given it to the code enforcers who will, you know, be on that right away, and that's another thing we'll have answers on when we find out what happened with those trees and what their reasoning is behind not getting them taken care of. At the public hearing, yes.
Audience.
There's no audience participation.
There's audience participation a little later in the agenda, yes.
Okay.
No, we're gonna have audience participation in a little bit, and you're welcome to come. Right. We just don't have any information right now to give you until we get our recommendations back from the planning board, both the county and the Suffern Planning Board, and we have all our information and we're in complete understanding. Then at the next meeting, we'll be able to answer questions and be more educated on the whole zone itself. Okay. All right, so do I have a motion for the hospital zone to be referred to the planning board and Rockland County Planning?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed only because I think, and to Mr. Meehan's end, if we slow the process up a bit to deal with the hospital and their issues, this may be one tool to do that as well. I understand it's only a referral, but it may be a little premature, so I would vote no.
Okay. I vote yes. Motion is carried.
And then the next item, if you want to proceed, is to set a public hearing for April 7th.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
What time,
What time?
Oh, 7:40?
7:40. Yeah, 7:40 is fine.
You all second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, go ahead.
Got a few more.
We're replacing the tape.
Oh, hold on, we got a tape replacement here.
Tape replacement.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. The next item, as the board is aware, the Board of Trustees previously adopted a local law which would authorize a retirement incentive for the lieutenant that had dates and restrictions and so forth. He has elected to take that early retirement and has signed an agreement. The agreement provides what he's going to be paid, the retirement dates, his obligations, and sets forth, at least as of the date of the agreement, the accrued days that he had at that point in time, so there's no dispute as far as those items. In order for the mayor to go ahead and execute that agreement as well, the board needs to authorize her to do so.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried.
Okay, and then two items to end. The PLI zoning district in the village has certain uses that are listed. We have revisited those, and in order to make sure that in that particular district we have only uses that are appropriate, John Lang has prepared a report which will be available in a couple of days for the board to review, revising the permitted uses in that zoning district, and the same process as we just discussed with the hospital zone. We need to refer that to the village and county department of planning and to set a public hearing for the April meeting on that as well.
So moved.
So, first to refer.
Referring the
First to
proposed.
refer, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
And then public hearing.
Motion on the public hearing,
Set the motion,
7:50?
Yeah, 7:50, I had the
Wake her
time on the
up.
wrong one.
Yeah, right. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Second.
Oh, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I vote yes, so moved. Thanks, Terry. Police Department, Chief Clerk.
Just very briefly, there's nothing to vote on tonight, just some informational items. Some of the things we'll be working on coming up with the spring, coming upon us, is we started last week, and we're going to continue to enforce our commercial vehicle enforcement stops, particularly on roads where trucks are not authorized. One of the roads we've been focusing on is Washington Avenue, which is really not supposed to be used for big trucks, but we have a lot of through traffic, and we've been focusing on that to the resident complaints. We'll continue with that as well. We'll also be doing some walking. I know I spoke to the board before. Once the weather breaks, we'll be implementing some walking posts during the daytime and the evening hours, which we think are critical to the Chamber of Commerce and for the downtown. More for perception, we're very fortunate. We have a very safe downtown area, very good crime rate, but we also want to make sure that the residents feel safe and the business owners while they're down there. And last but not least, we made an arrest. I emailed you guys, I know, earlier today in regards to, we had a burglary back in August. We had a little spree going on at one point, and we had a suspect that we believe was doing them, and we actually apprehended him on another grand larceny charge in a foot pursuit. He stole a pocketbook out of a restaurant and took off. And after apprehending him, we sort of put the piece of the puzzle together, and we assumed, we had a good feeling it was this person that was committing the burglaries. And we were able, fortunately, yesterday, we actually got data back from the federal government, and we actually had a DNA match. We found blood droplets at the scene of the burglary when he broke the window to get in, and we were able to get a piece of his personal equipment, property, and we matched it up, our detectives did, and we just charged him with burglary and he's in the county jail. He was over here on court, ready to be released, and we dropped another charge on him, so he's in county jail. I just want to credit our detective bureau and the Sheriff's PCI unit helping us out, so that's it.
Good job, thanks, Chief. Audience participation, please come up to the microphone, state your name and your address.
Good evening. My name's Stephen Lejoy, 11 Vista Way, Suffern, New York. And you just spoke about and voted on the referral to the planning board for the hospital zone. And actually, we were here to request that that motion be tabled based on the lack of response from the hospital over numerous issues around the site plan, their responsiveness, and they're ignoring their neighbors. Basically, what I would call not a very good neighbor policy. The site's dirty. Back where the contractor area, there's stuff stored improperly. You walk that site, and the site does not look good. And people are ignored. We have 2 letters here from the inspector, okay, talking about the buffer. Okay, both letters have been ignored, and that issue's been raised by several of the residents more than once over the last year prior to these letters. So that's just one example of the hospital not taking their fiduciary responsibility seriously. And I don't understand why we'd even go into a public hearing if the board here does not have information they need to reflect and react to the hospital's ignoring the neighbors. There's rats. There's been a rat issue for over a year. Numerous calls to the hospital, numerous promises to clean up along our fence line, to clean out the dirt, to clean out the buffer is being used as a dump for any of their shrubs, for their grass cuttings. We have to ask the landscaper to stop behaving in that manner.
Okay, you know what I think I'm going to do, and I'm going to actually have Terry speak in just a minute, but what I think I would like to do is, this is just information for us. This is nothing that's moving it forward. It's nothing that's making the process go faster. Because even after we have the public hearing, we don't have to vote. We can table it for as long as we want to until we're satisfied that we have all the information that we need and that we're satisfied that they're taking their responsibility seriously. But what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to call Deborah Marshall, who is the chief...
Public relations.
No, she's not public relations. Thank you. Vice president up at the hospital. And I'm going to ask her to meet me, and I'm going to walk the property with her and show her the things that you're talking about. And I would encourage anyone who's here tonight that lives in the area that could walk with me to make sure that we call attention to all of the problems on the property. I would welcome that. I would ask that you please give me a call or let Virginia know that you would like to be a part of it. Give her a contact number. I'll let you know when we are meeting. Walk with me. We'll show her, and I will ask her how, in good conscience, she expects this board to take their requests seriously when they haven't addressed your concerns and the concerns of the neighbors.
And I think that's an excellent approach, and I think we'd be supportive of that.
Okay.
But one word of caution. You know, I've run a site of 1,000 people, 700 acres. My site never looks like the back of this site, because I couldn't get away with that, making pharmaceutical products.
Right.
Okay? This is a hospital with a rat problem that's been ignored. My cautionary note here is that by providing, my understanding of this zone is that the hospital then pretty much gets carte blanche. And that, I think, is an unacceptable approach.
That's not the case. They do not get carte blanche, and I will let Terry know.
They have to still go for variance? And we can talk more about this, but that is my concern.
Generally, what the concept was twofold. Number one, since there's a hospital use there, we have to recognize there's a hospital use there so that we can plan for it. So any of the uses that are hospital uses will be permitted, but they're still going to need site plan approval from the planning board. There are a lot of buffer and setback requirements that are proposed to be built into this local law, again, because the primary purpose, or one of the primary purposes in doing this zone, was to move the development away from the residential areas and to have a guaranteed buffer area that the only use that was intended to be included in that would be a walking trail. There would be no other uses that would be permitted in the buffer area. So the intent is to move everything away from the residential area. Now, I do have to say, I mean, the mayor's idea was similar to what I was going to suggest. It's the first I've heard of any issues here, at least that have, come to me. I see from those letters that Mr. Conley's been dealing with some of these things, but I mean, if we are aware of these maintenance issues, we have the ability to contact them and get them to move on it. Of course, we have the hammer right now because they also want to move forward with the hospital zone. So, generally the hospital, the new administration, it's been there the past couple of years, has been very cooperative with the village, and that's why when I heard this tonight from Scott, I was very surprised. It's the first I've heard that there's been any maintenance issues there, and as the mayor said, I think we can see that they take care of them.
Well, just one final thing. Let's be careful we don't remove enough of the hammer. Because again, I've been living there for the last 2 years. Before I was in North Carolina for 5 years, so it was a year there prior to that. And these are the same issues. You try to call the hospital. I'll just give you a good example. You call one of my plants, there's one person involved, there's one person responsible. You can go to that man and say, or woman, and say, I'm not getting any response. You can't do that at the hospital. You can't find one person in charge of that facility.
Well, I totally encourage you to, if you get no response there, to come to myself or any of the board members.
But again, I think,
To intervene. I mean,
I'll stop
it's-
here, but I think it's most important that we don't remove all the hammer.
Right. I don't think that we're going to be looking to do that anytime soon.
You know, if I might, Mayor?
Sure.
If I was a public relations person,
In other words, make it more difficult.
you know, the word hospital and rats,
Just don't-
not a good public relations.
No.
And I'm really upset about the rats. The rats, you call the health department. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
done
you
that,
could've
but we
called the
should
health-
do that right away.
Yeah.
And, you know, Good Samaritan Hospital sits here, and we try to get what they call payment in lieu of taxes for them. They provide services for about a half of Rockland County. But who pays for all the police calls to Good Samaritan Hospital? Who pays for all the fire calls to Good Samaritan Hospital? Taxpayers of the village of Suffern. You know, and,
Well,
you know, they're a hospital, but inside that charity hospital, people are making millions and millions and millions of dollars. And we should have something to compensate our taxpayers. And that's not the first time I said that.
Well, Mr. Meehan, very funny, but that's exactly what I was talking about tonight with my wife, and that there has to be some, anytime we add this, we want this type of facility growing and being a good neighbor, but anytime they grow, there is a significant addition of burden to the community. We have to make sure any kind of payment arrangement more than compensates for that burden. And it can be very big because it has impacts on Clerk's area, it has impacts on DPW, it has impacts on everything. So I think the walking the property line together is a good idea. I will probably not be able to make it, but I'm sure my wife can.
Okay, Mr. LeJoy, could you do me a favor? Whoever it is that would be interested in walking the property with myself and Deborah Marshall, would you please call Virginia in the morning and leave your contact information with her? And I will give you a call as soon as I have a date and time from the hospital.
Okay.
I think Mrs. Schubert would like to...
Okay, yeah, just give Virginia a call in the morning. Come right up.
Hi, Teresa Shedler, 4 Sylvan Way. I had this whole speech prepared, but Steve basically said what I was going to say. The only thing that I would like to add to that is that we have called numerous, I can't tell you how many times that I personally have called the hospital. We have a major, major rat problem. We can sit on our deck, and I have 2 dogs and 2 kids, and we can be sitting on our deck, and the rats are walking along our property. My dogs have killed the rats, and they're dead. Steve's found dead rats on his property.
Teresa, you never called the health department at all?
We have not. We've called the hospital thinking that they were going to be a good neighbor and do the right thing.
And they didn't?
No.
And let me tell you something, somebody tougher than the health department, you should have called Virginia.
Usually when I call the health department, they usually come.
Yeah.
Well, I will be doing that.
Yes.
I will be, because we did have to hire a pest control company at our own expense that we pay on a monthly basis to have we have bait stations behind our property, and we still have rats.
You're going to walk with me, right?
Well, and that was my other recommendation. I would wait until the snow melts, because behind our house, the snow is like this. You will not be able to see anything, including the rotting grass that is piled this high, that grass keepers continually dump there. I personally met with Mr. Thompson, who this letter is addressed to. He met me in the parking lot, assuring me that this would be taken care of. The grass clippings, as of the snow, was still there. He is a horrible neighbor. They're horrible neighbors.
Did you happen to take any pictures?
I did not.
You didn't? Okay. So could you do me a couple of favors?
Yes.
One, make sure that Virginia gets your contact information. 2, could you also give her copies of your correspondence and anybody else who has any written correspondence with the hospital? And then 3, when we do meet, I really want you to say these things to her. And
Oh, I
tell her,
absolutely will.
You know, I need you to tell her every time that you've called that hospital.
Absolutely.
Make sure you have remember who you spoke to, when, where, how, and continue to call. I mean, even before...
They ignore you.
Okay,
They don't return calls.
The time of
Just keep
ignorance
logging it
is
and who
over.
you spoke to and that you got no phone call back. And then also call the health department. And I'm sure, if need be, our code enforcer's going up there, they're gonna have to answer to appearance tickets at some point. So somebody's gonna, I'm sure they'll answer to an appearance ticket. So, you know, we'll get some answers. One way or another, we're getting answers. And we're getting it taken care of.
Unfortunately, I should have taken pictures and I should have called it. I didn't, but
Okay,
I was
all right.
thinking that
But you know what? We're gonna go forward, we're gonna get it taken care of.
All right.
Don't
Thank
worry
you for
about that.
listening.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Perhaps 2 calls to the health department, one from the village and one from
Yeah,
some residents, might
yeah,
not be a bad
Virginia's
idea?
gonna take care of that.
Great, thank you.
Jim Genatino, 2 Memorial. As older people on the board like Terry and Jack know, the hospital's only a good neighbor when they want something. If you don't hold their feet to the fire, they run wild. On the hospital zone and on this, what's the PLI zone, Terry?
The PLI zoning district has a list of permitted uses. Apropos to actually some of the issues that were just raised, some of the uses that are allowed in that zoning district are potentially tax exempt uses. So basically, because the PLI zone is one of the zones in which we hope to get our best ratables, we want to eliminate the ability to have anything other than tax-paying entities on those parcels.
Where's the area in the village that you're speaking of?
Coming down from Novartis through the quarry area, a couple other areas.
Okay, you don't have to go any further. I know where you're talking about. On these referrals, you're putting a very short time limit for the county to deal with these referrals.
They have 30 days, and if they don't respond within that 30
can
days,
move on.
we're going to have to continue the public hearing.
Okay, because
absolutely. They're gonna have-
typically they don't respond that quickly.
No, they generally get it in towards the end of the 30-day period. That's why I mentioned that if, in fact, they don't respond, we may have to continue. But
Yeah, and I'm speaking mostly for the planning board because probably it may get to you by then, but the planning board seems to be making decisions without recommendations from the county planning board.
they do. They generally, because the planning board is not making the decision, the Board of Trustees is making
Well,
the
they're
decision.
making a recommendation to the board.
Yeah, both of them are separately making recommendations.
Exactly, but it's
So they
better
don't-
if
they
they
won't
have
have
all
the
the
county.
information, isn't it?
They won't have the county recommendation. They rarely do. In fact, they probably never
That's the
do.
point I'm trying to make.
They probably never
How do
do.
they make an informed decision whether to recommend or not if they don't hear the comments?
Because like the County Department of Planning, the Village of Suffern Planning Board is there to review and make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees. We don't need, somebody to get a recommendation to someone who's making a recommendation. They're separate planning agencies.
Okay, and is this being sent to the DOT and the state?
Yeah, it'll
It's
probably go to,
50
it'll probably go to all
59.
of those. It'll probably go to all of those, and they
Yeah,
probably
it
won't
has
have any
to.
direct comment, yeah.
And while I mentioned the DOT, someone please speed dial them for 59, 202, and Orange Avenue. It's like being in Beirut.
Yeah, I actually was on the phone with, Jim from the Department of Transportation yesterday, and I told him that, and this is going to be, I was shocked to hear what I was hearing on the phone. So they came in and you notice they did fill some of the potholes.
Every other one.
Yeah. So I said to him, that's great, but what about all the rest of the potholes that soon we're going to have missing persons reports on people because they're that deep? And his answer to me was, and this is the God's honest truth, we're waiting for them to get so bad that it can't wait anymore. So we're
Tell them
only
it's
doing-
there.
I did. I said to him, if you don't call that bad, our Orange Avenue soon will be 2 separate roads. It's cracking right down the middle of it. In addition to keeping on them about the potholes, and they did come yesterday and they did do a few, Joe Hunt has just ordered more asphalt for
I know
for
Joe's
us.
been working on it.
Right,
That
Joe-
I know.
Joe has been doing the best he can. And also, I have asked, I myself have written a letter, but I've also asked from support from Nita Lowy, Ellen Jaffe,
David Carlucci, get them all.
David Carlucci. They have all written letters on our behalf to let them know what the deplorable conditions of Lafayette and 59 and Orange Avenue are.
I think it's beyond patching.
Yes, and that it needs to be resurfaced. So I also mentioned that to my buddy Jim yesterday at the DOT, and he told me that they're waiting for those roads to get at the worst possible conditions before they're going to let them go until they absolutely can't anymore. And I said to him, well, we can't anymore because we have two separate roads on Orange Avenue, and somebody's, going to fly out of their car coming down Lafayette Avenue.
Invite them down, I'll buy them lunch and take them for a ride.
So he tells me he's going to recommend that they come in. And he did come down and look at it in all fairness and agreed that both of them are in very bad shape. So I am on it.
But just so that you know, this will get worse before it gets better.
Oh, I know that.
Because we haven't even started with the frost heaves yet.
I know.
So it's
That's why I'm bringing it up now.
going to be a demolition derby beyond what we see right now.
Right.
The thing is, who's going to get sued when they lose their axles in here?
The state.
They're going to start with you, and then you're going to refer them to the state.
That's right.
Yep, the state's responsible.
And while I'm up here, we were supposed to see money from the hospital last year. There was a big fanfare about a meeting with the hospital staff, and we were going to get $10,000 or $20,000, and we were going to get $10,000 more from Salvation Army, and I'm sure the check is still in the mail.
Would that it were.
How you doing? My name is Michael Curley. If that lady would not tell my girlfriend about the rat, she'll probably go feed him. It costs me more money. So keep that quiet. I appreciate that. Second, I'm a little taken back by Judge Byrne here not sitting in a higher chair with a robe. I'm used to being in front of him for different reasons, all right? But my main purpose for being here is that there's a serious concern Suffern has with the water debt and the sewer debt that we have, all right? It exceeds $1 million, okay? And that's a big debt, all right? And one way you can pay that debt is to raise the water and sewer rate on everybody, okay? But I just don't feel that people can afford that. And I think that we need, as a village, to look at different options, okay? And those different options came before us approximately 6 years ago, when United Water was willing to purchase some of our water at approximately, I think, $125,000. And I could be off, all right? That cost of pumping out that water was approximately $35,000, all right? We could have made about $90,000 a year. 6 times 9, I'm not good at math. Maybe you guys can figure it out for me, okay? I can figure it out, all right? But my point is that we could have had hundreds of thousands of dollars already, okay? I think it's a different time now, okay? If somebody walks into Marcello restaurant right now tomorrow, okay? Marcello doesn't look to go up to the table and say, where do you live? He said, I live in Suffern, I can't sell you a hamburger, okay? We have an asset in this village, a water and sewer department, not many villages have, okay? We have an asset that we can use, all right? I would go to United Water. I would go and talk with them and say, listen, can we take that asset, okay, and use it? Years ago, this all started when they were considering selling this water. So there was a meeting up at the Masonic Temple that Chris St. Lawrence called to stop us for selling the water, okay? At that meeting, I actually jumped up on the stage and I said, please move out of my way. But I used different words, okay? And I said, this guy is selling you out here, selling you short, people, all right? He didn't want us to sell our water because he had a plan to put multiple housings at the quarry, okay? That was his one plan. Two, he now is coming out with the Rockland County Water Authority, okay? So he didn't want to give United Water a chance to be stronger, okay? It's not my choice as a citizen to decide what happens with water, what religion you are, what race, what anything you are, okay? But this is a strong asset, and I really mean this is something we should look at real strongly, okay? Because, let me explain, that water, if we don't use it, we lose it. The wells are there, okay? And if we've always, and we haven't had in the last 6 years any chance where there was a drought where we couldn't have sold out that water. They only wanted the water during the summer months for approximately 3 months, okay? And we'd be 700,000 closer to that million right now. And the reality is, we probably could have sold them even more, okay? So we can't think in a small-minded thing saying, well, that's only Suffern's water, all right? Now, also at that same time, there was going to be a shutoff valve that if we didn't have enough water to sell, that because of a drought or so, we could have shut it off. So we just need to think more business-like, okay? If we think more business-like, you know, if business worked like government, we'd be in trouble, okay? So government has to start thinking more like business, okay? Because we can still make a deal with them, all right? There are still people trying to stop United Water and shut them out. It's not our concern against United Water, okay? What I don't want to see is a gigantic increase in water and sewer when we have many more options, okay? And I know everyone, maybe at the time we didn't see it, we didn't feel it, and people came and they had this thing. People came from outside the village and told, don't sell our water, okay? Right. And I'm not saying, I'm not going to accuse anyone here why they voted or didn't vote for it, but I'm telling you why they didn't vote for it and why they were trying to push it, because they got this fear that they could have more civic housing, okay? Well, I'm not here to choose who gets water, whether you're Irish, Italian, Lithuanian, Jewish, that's not my concern, but that's not the issue anyway, okay? See, I'm not afraid of saying what really happened back then and what was really some of the conversations, okay? But I am saying this, okay? We have an asset. That asset is worth between $15 and $20 million. If we're not going to use it for the benefit of the village, why not sell the asset, okay? Then, so when people say Suffern's in trouble, when the state comes and says we're in gigantic trouble, okay? The reality is we're not in gigantic trouble, all right? Because we could sell that one asset and have no debt, we'd become #1 in the state. Because most people don't have an asset like us, like a water and sewer department, okay? The only other one I think it is probably Nyack and the other end of the county, all right? But you can sell that. People actually looked into it way back when. But I'm not even saying sell that asset. I'm not saying sell the water department and sewer department. I'm saying sell the water that is in it, #1, or partnership up in some way with United Water to find out how we can even get more water, let them maintain it, and keep the burden off the taxpayers. Thank you for your time.
Michael, so we have been, I believe, going back and forth on this for, I would say, the better part. I was on the board for 8 years. This is my 9th year.
Oh, no, it's longer than that.
I think we have been going back and forth on this for many, many years. But I think that, you know, it's come to a time where I think municipalities and the ever-growing number of burdens that are put on us in our everyday lives, and especially with the taxes, you know, it's time to look at things like this. I think you're right. We're going into, you know, somewhat of a new world, and we need to start looking forward and ways to use our assets to help us survive. So I know as you're speaking, a lot of the board members are nodding and you know, really taking heed to your good, I think, very good suggestions. So what I would like to propose to the board is that, Charles, I believe we still have all those reports, correct? That when we did this, we went through this the last time.
Well, I wasn't here then.
I believe they're still, they must still be in the file upstairs. So let's do this. Let's pull the files, and at the next workshop, if the board is in agreement, maybe we can start, you know, coming up with some ideas if it's something that we would like to go forward with, and if it makes sense for us to go forward with it. I think it's something that, you know, we should explore every avenue. Excuse me just for a minute, okay? I'll get to you. I think we should explore every avenue to, you know, start creating some more revenue for the village. So with the board's agreement, I would like to try to do that at the next workshop.
Mike, the only issue I take with what you said, don't spread the story around town that Marcello sells hamburgers.
Yes.
I just said
He's never been in Marcello's.
All right. I turned around and I go, wait, Marcello has hamburgers? I'm like, no. She goes, no. But
not that there's anything wrong with selling hamburgers, Mike.
No.
But
that's right.
But Mike, you're going to have to be at the workshop. All right.
Mayor,
yes,
just
sir.
briefly,
I'm
we
sorry.
we have an excess of 1 million gallons a
of,
day.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
So.
Hi, good people up front and good people in the audience. Al D'Ambrosio, 4 Cross Street, Suffern, New York. That's been a back and forth conversation in the past dealing with the water and United Water and other suggestions that had come up dealing with what is ours, and that is that source. We know in the future water is going to be in high demand, and it's going to get harder and harder to get it. We also know, therefore, our value of whatever it is going to increase. And we also know that every time they build a condominium, especially the big ones, they start to use a tremendous amount of water from these resources also. And we worry also in town that the flow and all of this material coming from this source, that it sometimes gets reduced. And then we say in good times, when we have tons of water like this winter, all right, we might overlook it if it doesn't affect us adversely. But we have had occasions when the water is low in our reservoirs, etc., and it'll happen again. And the consequence of saying when you lose something and have given it up, you're not getting it back. We use that term when we say you've lost your freedoms, you won't get them back. Well, that holds true to our water, so I like the idea of it increasing in value, but I think there has to be a way of saying we keep it, but let's find a way of keeping it and not punishing us by our costs.
Yeah.
I think we can work that out. Sure.
Al, we actually, what we looked into was an agreement where if, in fact, there was a drought situation, that we would shut that well off. It would have it would come with stipulations. Yeah. It wouldn't be that it's just, you know, when we're to a point where there's a drought and we may have a problem, that we have to continue supplying that water to them, we would have the right to shut them down. So it wouldn't be something where we'd be irresponsible about it and just say, oh yeah, sure, take all the water you want, just as long as you pay us for it. It wouldn't be like that. It would come with, you know, stipulations. And that's what we would start to work on, is making sure, obviously, that we protect our own first.
Yeah.
And then, you know, to go on from there. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anybody else? Trish?
Yes.
Steve.
No, I don't. Oh.
Yes.
Hi, Stephen Alpert, 17 Meadowbrook Lane here in Suffern. I just had a question. I realize obviously it doesn't matter anymore because the vote already happened, but the one question I was going to ask before was any consideration given to purchasing a recent model used fire vehicle as opposed to a brand new vehicle? Because I did miss the meeting that discussed that. So I was curious if that could have saved a few $100,000. Because at this point in time, Suffern is very financially strapped, or so the state says, that Suffern's in the worst financial shape of any village in the entire state of New York. So having said that, to commit $500,000 towards any project should be questioned.
Okay. I have the chief back there, but yes, they did. They did actually look into this. This was one of my questions, so if he's still here. If he wasn't here, I would have answered it for him. Chief, we have a question from Steve over here. He'd like to know if you looked into the possibility of buying a used fire truck.
No, we didn't.
I was told that you did look into, by Jeremy, that the possibility, looking into a used fire truck and then trying to adapt it to the needs of the village, far surpassed what you know you would need to do because of all the equipment you'd have to add on.
The committee may have
Talking to the, yeah.
Talking into the mic, yeah.
I'm sure it
I'm sorry,
did.
the committee may have looked into purchasing a used fire truck, but I don't think that it really ever went anywhere, seriously.
Because I was told that it wasn't cost efficient because of the fact that you'd have to adapt it to the needs of the village of Suffern and
Correct.
all of the additional equipment that would have to be put onto it and readapted for us would not.
Correct.
It wouldn't, you know.
Yes.
And then you're buying somebody else's problems in addition.
It just sounds to me that due diligence was not done, and I want to go on record saying, as a citizen of Suffern, I'm disappointed that due diligence was not done and that it couldn't at least have been on paper for people to compare. Okay, it'll cost this to do it this way, this to do it that way, and that to do it this way. As two of the board members themselves brought up, they didn't even have the opportunity to review.
No, they did. No, please don't say that, because this was discussed at last month's meeting. The presentation was made at last month's meeting, so everyone was giving an entire month until we came back to this meeting to investigate and ask for any of that information.
So is there some reason that and again, I'm hearing all
I don't know why they didn't. I can't speak for them.
Can I ask these board members that say they didn't have any information about the cost of rehabilitation, if in fact this was discussed and I was not at last month's meeting, why in fact did that not transpire? Do either of you wish to?
I wasn't provided any information regarding the actual cost of rehabilitation, or refurbishing rather. And that's why I raised the concern today, whether that was explored, to what extent it was, and maybe we should take a little more time to do it.
Right.
Right, and I did go and ask the questions. I took that month to investigate and look into.
It just seems, when money's spent willy-nilly by a village that has the highest problem in the entire state.
Right, but I don't want you to say, I did my due diligence. I spent the month meeting with Mike, meeting with Jeremy, meeting with Joe Hunt. I did my due diligence.
The other question I had, I noticed there's some mention towards the end about the Orange Avenue update, so I don't want to jump the gun or anything like that, but I did have just a general thought. I think that the applicant ultimately is looking for a payment in lieu of taxes arrangement, and I just wanted to say, at least as a citizen here in Suffern, with the high taxes we have, I don't think that's a good plan. I think you should go for getting the most money you can from the applicant, which would probably involve market rate taxes.
Thank you. We're still open. Yes. We're still open.
My name is Randy Ortiz. I live at 11 Fairview Place in the Village, and I own Suffern Locksmith downtown. And next year will be our 20th year that we've been here in Suffern. I've heard Mr. Curley's story so many times because I was his neighbor for many years. But what I want to talk about is this proposed building that is being kicked around. And there's all kinds of stories flying around about, and I got a little bit of an education tonight about the taxes plans that they want to try to get worked out, where they pay less tax, or I don't know what you want to call it.
Pilot program.
Sorry?
Pilot program.
They want to get involved with some sort of pilot program where, but I just want to say, as a business person who's had to make a payroll for 20 years, who's had to pay the car insurance, had to pay stuff, okay, and I've made it this far, okay? I've been downtown for 20 years. I've seen it all. Every day, I drive back and forth because I do service calls all day long, so I'm back and forth all day. I see what goes on downtown. The only way you're going to get the downtown to change face is you're going to bring in something, and I'm not saying build a 6-story, 5-story, 4-story. I don't know what the appropriate size is. That's something that you guys have to make in good conscience, or what's worth it for a builder to do. But I will say this: the only way you're going to change things downtown is you got to bring market value rentals or condominiums down there. Okay? That's the only way you're going to change it. You can keep kicking this can down the road, okay, but that's the only way you're going to change what's going on downtown. And then, once you do that, you start working on the landlords with the apartments that are all above the stores. There's some beautiful, I've been in quite a few of them, there's some beautiful apartments above a lot of those stores downtown that could be made into beautiful, trendy lofts that people would just love to get their hands on, and they could probably get more money than they're getting now for those apartments, and a lot less headaches. So, it's all going to work hand in hand, and I would urge you to do something down there. I don't know what size building or what to do with the taxes, but just keep in mind, as a business decision, Michael said, you got to think out of the box with business. If there's a place down there now, hypothetically, that's paying $30,000 for that property down there, okay, and the next guy comes in and builds something there that should be paying $100,000 in taxes, but they're going to get a deal where they're only going to pay $30,000. But they still have to buy water, don't they? they still have to pay sewer fees, don't they? How much more of a burden is that building going to be on the village? I mean, somebody needs to explain that to me. How much more of a burden would that be? Because that's what I keep hearing that.
I'm going to go over all that when I
Okay.
explain the orange,
All right.
when I get onto the Orange Avenue, I'm
Yeah.
going to explain to everybody how the pilot program works, what the
Right.
numbers are in every scenario. I'm going to go over all of it.
So the point is, we got to think, you know, times are tough right now. We got to think outside the box. If you're still getting the same amount of taxes you were getting for that building, okay, and you got a big, beautiful building there that's going to help improve the rest of the village, you got to think about that.
Thank you, Randy. Jean, you coming up?
Jean Hennelly, 135 Wayne Avenue. Regarding the fire truck, the truck that's being replaced, will that be completely scrapped, or are we going to donate it to some upstate or someplace in Maine like we did the last one? I was just wondering, I just was wondering why it's good enough for other people, you know, other towns, why we're giving away equipment. It's good enough for them, like it can't be good enough for us.
Okay, Chief's going to address that right now.
Do you know? Do you?
The chief's going to answer your question.
I try. Our plan is to, and I've spoken to 2 prospective dealers already, to try to market it and see what we can get for it. As soon as this process gets a little bit further, they're going to come up, they're going to visit the truck, they're going to look at it, they're going to see what they think they can sell it for, and that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to sell it.
Salvageability.
And of course, that will offset any of the costs. It'll go back
Right.
into the village fund.
So, Mike, they're using it for salvageability parts and stuff that they can use for other things, correct?
It may go to a salvage dealer may buy it and use it for whatever parts are salvageable.
And the other thing I wanted to mention is, I was hoping that on the backup that you would have the Orange Avenue information. How do you determine what information goes on the agenda backup and not?
I'm not getting what you're saying.
Later in the meeting, you're going to go over what's the update for the Orange Avenue project, and on the backup
On the
of
website
today's-
you're talking about?
On the website, yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
The backup. on the
Yeah, I just got this information yesterday, so you're getting it kind of the same time I am. The board just got it today, so it's the
Well,
new...
it just scans, it just, you know, the agenda was put on this morning, I don't understand.
I don't make it a habit of giving it to the public before the board has it. The board needs to take a look at it, and then I get it
So
over to the
can you
public.
put it on tomorrow then?
Oh, yeah, definitely, it's real... I mean, this is just my notes from the information that I got, so I can ask them to put something on there to kind of overview what it's all about. If I put on what we got from Mr. Goldstein, it may make sense to you, may not. I'll look at it tomorrow and see what makes sense to put on so people can understand.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Yes, Al? I do too.
Yeah, but he's taking too many bites of the apple.
Come on up.
Al D'Ambrosio, 4 Cross Street, Suffern, New York. Patricia Abato, my mayor, I want to just query you specifically because I was perplexed on the back and forth with the chief and you. Initially, you stated, dealing with the fire truck, that you had heard that they had discussed the purchasing of a fire truck used, and that they had apparently not come to a good conclusion on it.
No, that, you have to understand, there's a committee for the fire truck, and then there's the fire chief. Okay, so I spoke with the committee people, I spoke with the chief, I spoke with Joe Hunt. The information that I got was from the actual truck committee.
I understand that.
Okay.
But then when you drew reference to the chief, and you said it'd be better that he should answer, you asked him, and as he was coming down, he initially said, no.
Okay.
Then, well, I'm sorry, if you would have recorded it, or if it is ultimately for display again in the future, we can follow the procedure of conversation, which I don't want to necessarily do, but I'm saying you can.
Okay.
And the point being, so he was not really saying yes. Is that mine?
Okay, but his committee did say yes. Okay, Al, I have to move along.
No, I just want to get this
Okay.
off. Okay.
Yeah.
The bottom point was, then when it's one of my buddies, but then when he came here, he was not too clear on that either. But he yesed you. I was not satisfied that...
He didn't yes me, he said...
This is my opinion.
Okay, he didn't yes me, Al, let me clear this up in every aspect.
Well, I would
The
rather he
chief
cleared
said-
it up.
No, let me tell you what the chief said, and I'll have Kathy read it back to you if you'd like.
Okay.
What the chief said was no, and then when he came to the microphone, he said, they may have.
That's not adequate.
They may have, but he was not in on that conversation or the committee.
That's still not an adequate answer to the
I
question,
spoke to
though.
the committee. The chief was not on the committee for the fire truck. The
And I
chief
did as well.
Right, and Joe spoke to them as well. Joe is the liaison for the fire department. Joe is very much in contact with them. The fact that the chief said no was an honest answer, that he did not have that information, Alan, and I put that to his credit. He didn't just agree with me.
Oh, are you therefore saying
Thank
that when you and whoever else was there discussed it, they said they had looked into it and had not found a satisfactory answer?
No, they didn't say they didn't find a satisfactory answer. What they said was they found that when they had to adapt the truck to what they need here in the village, financially it didn't make sense, and they felt like they were buying someone else's problems.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
That's fair.
Mayor, if I could just say something.
Sure.
I just want to explain, for those of you that don't know, some of you may, how the fire department is structured and how the truck committees work. Typically, the officers in the fire company, which there are 3 in each fire company, pick senior members to have a truck committee. What does a truck committee mean? That means they have an odd number of members that form a committee, and they go out and they look at what they would like to buy. They visit trucks, they go to other fire companies within the county, out of the county, they talk to different manufacturers, they then pick a manufacturer that they would like the truck to be, and they start building it. This takes upwards of 2 to 3 years to complete this. I was not on the truck committee. I did not go to all the meetings. I went to some of the meetings. I may not have had all the information, and if I knew that it was going to be like this tonight, I would have made sure that I would have had all the information. Never once, and I've been in the fire department, this fire department for almost 25 years, have had to answer so many questions and be grilled so much about your safety for your volunteers. Some of them may be in this room tonight that get up at all hours of the night and ask for no compensation to have a safe fire truck to drive to your house for a fire call. And I apologize if I put the mayor on the spot or any of the board members by not answering your questions. Well, I won't say not honestly, because they were all honestly answered questions. May not have been what you wanted to hear. Just remember, I'm a volunteer also. I was the one that was up at 3 o'clock this Monday morning fighting a fire in Marlwell while you were all sleeping. All we want is a safe fire truck for our firefighters. I hear a lot of people say firemen. They're not firemen anymore, they're firefighters, because we have women that are in the fire companies. I just want them to be in a safe fire truck to go to a fire call. That's all I want. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, can I say something? Chief, I want to commend you for the job you've done and the 25 years, and in no way was I attacking the fire department. I just want to make that...
That wasn't directed at
No, I understand.
anybody in particular, just...
I
but
wish I
appreciate that,
had
Frank.
the
Thank you.
information I needed to make a better decision tonight, and perhaps next time I'll do more homework. I spent 60 days doing this homework. Maybe it takes a year. Maybe somebody else on the board could have helped me. that's besides the point. But you do a great job.
Well,
Thank you.
as I said the other night, you're all welcome to come to the firehouse at any time.
Thank you very much.
The door is always open.
Thanks, Chief. Okay, we will move on to the Department of Public Works. Charles.
Good evening, Mayor and the Board. I am requesting authorization to approve change order number 1 in the amount of $4,609 for the wastewater treatment plant dewatering upgrade project. This change order is for minor field changes made to enhance the overall project. The original contract amount is $833,100. The revised contract amount will be $837,709. The cost will be charged to the wastewater treatment plant capital projects account.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Can I make a comment? Does the water department have any money to help the fire department out? You're the biggest expense besides the police department.
Well,
But anyway.
this is the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, I understand. Well, to me, everything comes under the DPW.
I'm sorry, what the question was what?
Can you lend some money to the fire department in the future?
I was going to ask the fire department to lend us some money.
No.
No, sorry. I think
Corrigan?
the answer is
Yes.
no. Okay.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion's carried.
I am requesting payment authorization for application of payment number 4 and final payment for the general construction portion of the wastewater treatment plant dewatering system upgrade project. This payment is made to Northeast Remsco Construction in the amount of $87,917. All required closeout documents have been received from the contractor. As required by the contract, all work performed shall be guaranteed for a period of 1 year from the substantial completion date of December 19th, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion's carried.
I'm requesting payment authorization for application of payment number 2 and final payment of roadway improvements Phase 7 project. This payment is made to Tilcon New York, Inc. in the amount of $19,933.77.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion's carried.
I am requesting authorization for Mr. Stanley Brinsky, Mr. John Conklin, and Mr. Steve Cotieres to attend the Hudson Valley Waterworks Conference Winter Seminar located in Montgomery, New York on March 13th, 2014. Attendance of this seminar will receive 5 contact hours as required by the New York State Department of Health. The total cost of this seminar is $120.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion's carried.
I am requesting authorization to attend the floodplain and watershed hydraulics course offered by Cornell Cooperative Extension located in Middletown, New York on April 24th, 2014. The cost of this course is $230.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion's carried.
That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Village Clerk?
The one thing I have is Sacred Heart Parish is going to be holding their annual parish festival, and the dates are Thursday, April the 24th, Friday, April the 27th, Saturday, April the 26th, and Sunday, April the 27th. there's going to be a little conflict there on the 27th because of the...
I just wanted to mention, if we do approve this tonight, I just want to make sure that it's subject to the police chief's approval. One of the dates, the 27th, is the same day as our street fair. So I just want to make sure with him that he believes that we won't have any problems. Oh, here he comes. Because we have, the festival will not have parking in the Sacred Heart lot, so they'll be looking for parking outside of the church as well as the street fair. So I just want to make sure, Chief. Sacred Heart's having their festival the 24th to the 27th. The 27th is actually our street fair. Correct. I'm just making sure with you, you're okay with traffic-wise and parking?
Absolutely. Sacred Hearts Festival starts at 2 p.m.
Okay.
Our street fair ends at 5. Sacred Hearts Festival probably won't get going till a little later, and I think it's a good thing. I'll be honest with you. It's good for both.
Excellent.
I think both organizations. So we are totally fine. We've controlled the parking for years. I think we'll be fine with it.
Excellent. That's what I want to hear. Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
So moved. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I vote yes. Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Your Suffern Little League request?
Yeah. Well, the Suffern Little League is asking permission to have their
Opening Day Parade.
Right.
April 5th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
That's it, Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll all get an invite to it.
Okay, Mr. Zordan. Finance.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Okay. First item is, as I said, in an effort to get our best insurance rates that we can, what we've done is, what I'm asking is that our old insurance agent, CLG, the broker is Scott Liebert, he had asked if he could have the opportunity to put our insurance out to bid. So this way it would put pressure on our incumbent insurance agent to also do the same and to try and maximize our competition to get us the best rate possible. Last year our insurance rates went up in a ballpark of 30%. So I think, and last year was the first year that since I've been here that our insurance rates went up. Every year that I came here, I managed to get our insurance rates to go down, plus increase the amount of insurance that we had. Unfortunately, last year, it didn't happen. So this is the best way, having competition will enable us to hopefully maintain the rate at what it is, or maybe get it to go down. I don't know, but if we don't get competition, we'll never know. So I'm just asking the board to give me the okay with that.
Tom, are those?
You don't need, you can
No.
just do that. You don't need authorization.
Right.
Do those policies run our fiscal year?
The general liability insurance is June 11th. It starts on June 11th, so it's, 10 days difference. Our workers' comp policy is July 1st. How those years came into being, I don't know. It was obviously before I got here, and I don't know what the significance was of the timing.
And you'll have some numbers to plug into the budget within the next 30 days?
I was given an estimate by the insurance company that he said it'd be like 5% increase based on what happened last year. I don't know if that's a good number. That's why I want to bring the other guy back and let him bring in some other companies to quote us prices on our insurance. I feel confident that with him in the mix, that there'll be pressure, downward pressure, to keep the rates either at the same or maybe less. The second item, as I had indicated, I'm asking you to authorize a resolution for a RAND borrowing. The amount is going to be less than I had said at the workshop. It's going to be $600,000, which we would borrow in the middle of March and pay back around July 15th. So it'll be a 4-month borrowing period. And this is just to ensure that, we make it through the end of the year with no problems.
We need a motion for that.
So moved on the RAND.
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion's carried.
Thank you very much. Again, we go out every couple of years and bid out for our electricity. With O&R, we're allowed to pick our supplier. So in the past, again, when I first came here, we were paying 13 cents per kilowatt hour. And by going out and having the brokers seek out bids on our electrical power, the last 2 years we've been paying 5.776 cents per kilowatt hour. It's a drastic difference from when the time I got here. It's not all me, it's, the market conditions made it that way, but we have to, if we don't look for it, we won't get it. So I received another, our contract ends August 1st, well, July 31st. So we have to renew. And generally, you'll renew in advance because the closer you get to your renewal date, generally, the price goes up. So if you do it in advance, you get better pricing. But there's a lot of market fluctuations. The Farmer's Almanac pays, in planning out electrical costs, the Farmer's Almanac comes into play because they look at winters and how, if over the next 2 years the winters are supposed to be good, that comes into the brokers figuring out what these rates are. But anyway, with that being said, we got some quotes in, and the best that we got was for 5.795 cents. And based on the number of kilowatt hours that we use over the course of a year, which is roughly 3,600,000 kilowatt hours, that comes out to a difference of about $700 a year. So on our electric bill, you wouldn't even notice $700 difference. But I'm asking that the board approve this.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion's carried.
Thank you. And lastly, at the workshop, I gave you copies of the budgets, and I gave you updated versions of them yesterday. And like I said, if you have time to review them, you can call me or call department heads. If you have a direct question, you just want to ask them, that's fine. Now, according to our timeline, which I'm sure everybody memorized, I'm supposed to put the budget on the website on Monday, March 10th. And we're supposed to have a board meeting sometime thereafter, like the week of March 17th. This way the village residents can see the budget online, review it themselves, and if they have any questions, we can have a meeting for them to ask their questions, and then that'll give us time to review their questions and make any changes that we deem appropriate. So I guess we should try, I don't know if we should set the board meeting tonight or...
Sure, why not?
Okay, so just pick a date.
The week.
Just not March 17th.
Not March 17th.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
March.
Not March 17th.
It's a religious holiday.
Yes.
That's sacred.
I'm only half Irish.
Okay, so we have to have a public hearing by
better than
April
nothing.
15th.
What's that?
We have to have a public hearing by April 15th.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't remember the exact date. I thought it was April 10th is when we got to approve it,
The clerk's telling me by the 15th.
by April 15th. All right. So we have our regular village board meeting on the 7th. I don't know if you want to incorporate, see,
Yeah, you guys mind doing it all in one night? We'll do it all on the 7th?
The budget?
That's fine.
The 7th is the night of our board meeting, April 7th.
but then you'd have to have a special board meeting on April 15th to approve the budget.
No, you don't.
No.
But you have to, you have to...
You want to have a you want to have a meeting for the village residents to come, discuss the
That's on the
budget.
7th. That'll be at our regular board meeting.
Why
Right.
don't we start
Okay.
early at 7? So that way, if we start at 7, we can
You can give them a half
give
hour.
them a good
Yeah.
an hour.
Right.
We'll
But
start
then I'm saying, okay, after that,
Then we have to do it
you'd
by...
have to have another meeting to
Yeah.
approve the budget, like
We can
by
have a
the
special-
15th.
We'll have a special meeting for that one,
For the vote.
for the vote.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
We have to
okay.
have 2.
Right.
Very good.
We have to have 2 no matter what.
Yeah. I just want to make sure we got time.
All right, so
that-
we'll do the public hearing on the 7th
At 7 o'clock.
at 7 o'clock.
Perfect.
And that's
Okay.
a Monday, right?
That's a Monday.
Yes, that's a Monday.
That's the night of the board meeting.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, thank you, unless you have any other questions. No? Thanks a lot.
I think so. I just
So
have
are we
to-
setting a date for the special meeting at this point, or not yet?
I think we could do that the night of the board meeting. We'll try to find out what works for everybody, because things change for everybody, I'm sure.
At the workshop, you mean?
We'll do it at the night of the meeting, or at the workshop, once it gets closer,
Okay.
just so we can find a date that works for everybody. It's so hard. People's schedules change, and, okay.
Hair appointments.
It's in my phone now, so it's Bible. Okay. Alrighty, I'm going to start with, I'm sorry, did the trustees have anything? Nothing, okay. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the $3 million that Governor Cuomo, through New York Rising, has allocated to the village of Suffern. The deputy mayor, myself, Charles Sawicki, and Fred Rella met with our chairperson from New York Rising, and I will give you an overview of the project and where we are right now with it. It is a $3 million project. The regional lead picks from a list of recommendations from the village board 2 people to chair the committee, as well as 8 to 10 members. Our recommendations are turned over to the regional lead, and then the regional lead will contact those and then pick 8 to 10 members and 2 chairs. The mayor is part of that committee as a non-voting member. Okay, so I will have no vote, but I will have input as to projects that the board feels is something that should be considered for one of the projects to be included in the $3 million. New York Rising provides us with a consulting firm, which is paid by the state. It does not come out of the $3 million. They also provide us planners. Again, does not come from the grant. It's paid by the state. They will also create a a Suffern New York Rising website just for our village. The website will include all the meeting and dates and times and things that are happening within the program. There will be 2 meetings a month for 8 months. It is a very big commitment. All meetings are public. Anyone can attend them. However, the public is not invited to participate. So you may sit and listen to hear what's going on, but the public has no input. But there will be 4 public meetings for input for the residents of our village. They are separate from the regular monthly meetings of 2 meetings per month. And again, they will be posted on the website for New York Rising for the village of Suffern. The first stage is the planning stage, which they will identify projects, identify our assets, identify high-risk areas, and identify impact on our village from previous storms with the documentation that we already have obtained. Will play a very big part in that, and that kind of puts us ahead of some others because we have kept very, very good and strict documentation of all of the areas that have been devastated by the previous storms. There's a pre-plan application, which when the committee comes to an agreement on the projects to be submitted, they will send a pre-application to HUD. If the project is approved, then it will come to the village for approval. Then the village will submit the application for final approval, and then we will start the process of completing the plan. The plans, the program is based on some of the criteria is low to middle income residents, to remove blight and urgent need. We don't presently have a date to begin our process. We should be getting that shortly. They feel probably in April we should have a date. So the process that we are in right now is submitting names to New York Rising, to our regional lead person, with a small biography, and then they will be contacted. Excuse me, the members should have knowledge of the community areas of concern. And that is our New York Rising update. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Okay, going forward.
I'm assuming, Mayor, when they create this website, the Suffern Rising, if you will, website, that we can link to that from ours, and
we are going to link them. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Next, as you all are probably aware, the board, in recognizing that the downtown area has needs that are not met, has come together to decide that we should have a Village of Suffern Downtown Revitalization Task Force. We have put it out on the website, as well as sent out press releases, and have talked about it at the village board meetings. Anyone interested should contact Kathy Mills, and we have a very nice list of committee people, and I would like to appoint them tonight and have their... I think I got it now. Okay. And their first meeting will be, we're trying to get around Restaurant Week and St. Patrick's Day. So we haven't picked a date yet, but it will be within the next 2 weeks. So our committee members will be Jason DeZinni, Stacy Lechner, Ori Licata, Jenny Tunick, Kristen Tunick, Spencer Tunick, Frank Hagen, Rich Gandon, J.P. Malfetta, Elaine DeFalco, Ari Upgang, Bob Yodowitz, John Lang, Vince Crapella, Kimberly Thomas, and Bill Tarantino. So I congratulate you all, and I thank you so very much for volunteering your time. It is a big commitment, and we appreciate, just put Bill Tarantino in there. Okay. We appreciate your interest in helping out the downtown area. Okay, last but certainly not least, what everyone's waiting for is our Orange Avenue update. In our last meeting with the developer, the developer has notified us that he will be looking for FHA or HFA funding for the Orange Avenue project. Because they are obtaining their financing through these agencies, the agencies require them to engage in a pilot program with the village, with the town of Ramapo, and with the school district. They have requested a 40-year pilot with us. And I will explain to you how they have planned out the pilot. The schedule of pilot payments would be in the pre-construction phase, which is anywhere, I would assume, we don't have a number on it yet, but we'll say 2 to 3 years. They will stay at the present number of $26,569. Now, this number represents the taxes on the property pre-construction. Once the construction phase is over and they close on the mortgage, for the first 1 to 5 years, they will again ask to stay at the $26,569. $569. From 6 to 10 years, they will go up 10% to $31,569. And year 11 to year 15, they will go up another 10% to $36,569. Year 16 to 20, they will go up to $41,569 in 5,000 increments until they get to 41 years, ending with a number of $61,569. Now, the only addition to that revenue would be they are entitled each year to a $350,000 return. They have agreed that anything over that $350,000 that they get in return, they will give the village 10% of that. Okay? So, let's say that their return is $400,000, the village would receive an additional $5,000. Okay? That's if the building is completely at top occupancy and completely filled. That would be what the village would get out of that. I did prepare a spreadsheet for all of the board members, and I will also make it available on the website. It basically will show you what the proposed payments based on the taxes now are, and then with the 3% increase annually, what the payments will be. And then it will show you the lost tax revenue to the village of Suffern. With the present proposal, the village stands to lose over 40 years $328,376.31, and that would be based on just the property. With the new building, using a $60,000 base number on taxes for the building, the village in 40 years at full taxes with this pilot program would stand to lose $3,037,062.79. So this is information that each board member has gotten and will be using to help make their decision regarding this project. The applicants are not here this evening because at the workshop, the village board asked them for some extra time since this pilot was just given to us at the workshop last week. We wanted to make sure that we had all the information that we needed before they came back to make their presentation. But I did not want to wait until next month to give you information that I had gotten without letting the residents know. So I will provide this on the website. That is the latest that I have so far. And, you know, the public hearing will continue next month for more questions and concerns after the applicant gives you his information. I want you all to know that he has reduced the number of units to 91. He has reduced the stories to 5 stories. He has offered $75,000 worth of repairs in the walkway that goes down through to the ball field, under the tunnel. And there's not really much more to tell than that. You know, like I said, it's just something that I think we have to be keeping in Mr. Ortiz's comments about the area itself and how long we want to put up with the conditions there, and being fiscally responsible and being able to balance both. And I'm confident that this board will be able to do both of those things. We still have the asset of the building itself, you know, we'll look at all of those pieces of the puzzle when we, you know, come to a good decision on how to put it back together again. So I look forward to your comments at the next meeting.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead. You have to come up to the microphone, though.
He's disabled.
Oh, I'm sorry, stay there, go ahead.
What type of units will be in that building?
They're condominium, apartments. That's my wishful thinking. They're apartments, they're rentals.
Well, not condos?
No.
And it'll be 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3?
1 and 2 bedroom.
And bathrooms, 1 and 2?
You know, I don't think he ever said about the bathrooms. I don't think we ever... He didn't say anything about bathrooms. I would assume depending upon the unit.
You've got to get all that information.
Yeah, we're going to get all that information.
One other question. Where will the parking be, in the basement?
Yes, it will be underground parking. Okay, so I have a motion to adjourn.
Well, could I just, well, one thing that occurred to me and is that to analyze these numbers, I'm just wondering if we shouldn't, when we're talking about millions of dollars down the road, it wouldn't be in our best interest to bring in an expert to evaluate the proposal. Just from a financial standpoint, someone who has a lot of experience in this type of construction, and it's just, it's just food for thought for the board, but I'm looking at numbers, and I've been in government a long time, and I'm not really, they throw me for a circle. I am not opposed to pilots, but I think that we probably have to have something that would be more favorable to the village than this one.
I want you to know, Jack, that I did reach out to the developer and ask if there was any room for discussion on the terms, and I was told no. This was the bottom line.
All right.
So part of the problem is that we can't account for what the actual 10% is going to be. I think that's where our stumbling point is. Because the extra 10%, if they do very well in $700,000, we do very well on the 10%.
Great.
But
the other thing
it's
is
not a
you're going,
guarantee.
it's such you're going out 40 years, and we've experienced interest rates in the last few years of zero. But I remember the Carter administration, and we had 18% inflation, and that could happen in the next 40 years, and we don't know. So I think, if you had something like this, it should have to be tied to the cost of living. It's
the numbers that we're looking at are not numbers that are including 10%, which should be extremely favorable if things go well.
There's that dirty word if.
Yeah.
Bring your pillow and blankie. Well, we're going to do 7 to 7:30 on the budget, and then 7:30 will be the regular meeting, and then the public hearing. The budget hearings usually don't go more than half. I mean, the numbers are all there. It's just a matter of, it doesn't usually last more than half an hour. And if it does, we'll provide for that. That's not a problem. Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.